Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode of Brave Dog Training Online. I'm Anita, I'm a professional dog trainer and your host, and today we're gonna talk about why you shouldn't let your dog run to other dogs you don't know. So stay tuned and have fun. Alright, so this is one of my really important principles. I do not let my dogs run to other dogs I don't know. It's different for dogs, I know. It's different for people, I know. But for strangers, this is my rule. No contact with strangers and strange dogs. And I thought about how I could explain that to you and why I think this is so important, but I won't do that. I will just tell you a few stories and I'm sure you'll know why I think this is important. So, a few years back, I was living in a big city with Sammy. It was an apartment on the city border and it was very green there. So a lot of dogs. And I had no idea about dogs, to be honest. So Sammy was my first dog, and I just thought, well, dogs need other dogs. So it's okay if a dog comes to us or if Sammy runs up to another dog and they just greet and play and have fun together. And Sammy was very young then. He was about 2 years old and in my eyes very playful. Later, with a lot more info and a lot more training, I knew that he actually wasn't playful, he was fiddling all the time, but to me it looked like play. So, alright, and what happened was we had a blonde lab who always ran free, and in this city your dog has to have either a leash or a muzzle on, and that blonde lab didn't have any of it, and he didn't listen to his owner at all, and he was not friendly. So what happened was he ran up to us every single time we met him, and he pushed Sammy, and Sammy would try to run away, and of course I had a leash on, a long line, and Sammy ran till the end of the long line before I could hold it tight enough, and the blonde lab would just chase him and jump on him, and Sammy would yelp and try to hide and run into bushes, and the lab would jump on him, and the fear in his eyes was just absolutely horrible. It was so incredibly horrible to see him like this. And whenever I saw the owner, most of the times he just came after a few minutes because he was so far back. I yelled at the owner and I told him, get your dog and get him on leash, and he always said, he's friendly. And I thought, that's not friendly. He's just chasing my dog and he's jumping on him and he's really scaring him. But of course the owner wouldn't listen, so we avoided that yellow lab. And we started teaching Sammy some techniques and some possible things he could do whenever he was scared. But that wasn't the only dog that happened with. So we also met a collie who pushed Sammy into the bushes and jumped on him. And Sammy was on a tight leash, so he almost pulled me with him, and I couldn't get this dog off him, even though this dog was on a leash as well. But I don't know, collies are not that strong, but somehow this dog was just very dedicated to, I don't know, doing very unnice things to my dog. So, okay. And then we had a situation where we were walking with a friend and her dogs, and we were walking in an alley, and there were a bunch of hunters coming towards us with their dogs, and she said, well, those are my dad's dogs and they are friendly and it's okay. And I thought, oh no. And we started going to the side and trying to avoid them, and that was the moment when they unhooked the leashes, and the whole group of dogs, I think it was 5 or 6, I was busy keeping them off my dog, I wasn't counting, but they were all chasing Sammy. They were all circling him and pushing him into the bushes with us on the leash, and we tried to get between them and our dog. We were 2 people, and we tried to just push them away, and we were even hitting at them and kicking them and yelling at the owners, and they were just laughing, and the dogs were trying to bite him and they were jumping on him, and Sammy was so afraid. He was so incredibly scared again. And this set him back, of course, and our training as well. Because, well, his trust in us avoiding these situations was evaporated, of course, because, well, we tried to avoid it and it happened anyway. So those were just 3 incidents, and it was a lot more, but those were the most horrifying ones. He was never bit, and he was never injured in these incidents, but there is more than physical injury that can happen to a dog. And he was really horrified. So what happened was, within 2 weeks of having him, he had developed a really, really intense leash reactivity. So within 2 weeks, I was in an appointment with a trainer, and I was saying, I have no idea how to deal with this dog. There are so many things, and he's so out of control. I cannot help myself. I cannot help him. This is horrible, and please help us. Back then, I was very, very lucky to have a really amazing trainer. And she taught me so much, and she gave me so much info and sources where I can get more info and where I can train myself, because I really had no money, so of course I couldn't go to the trainer every week. But I could get all this free stuff, and that was actually when I started becoming a dog trainer, because I was amazed at how dogs work and how we can help them. And for Sammy, we started to avoid every other dog. We walked at times where we didn't meet anyone. We walked in the streets on purpose, not by the fields. And we drove him out of the city every day. It was a 30-minute drive, and just so he could walk and just so he could be free. And that's when I started to avoid every other dog. And this has been a principle ever since for me, and for every other dog that lived with me and that I fostered. And it's amazing, because trusting one single person who did not deserve your trust can destroy your dog's confidence in you and your dog's trust in you. And that's really something very horrible to happen. So sometimes when I cannot avoid it because it happens too fast, Sammy can deal with it now if it's a friendly dog. And if not, I'm very fast in grabbing a collar or a harness or throwing food or throwing a ball or something like that. And we also have implemented techniques that work when another dog joins us. So I can keep the attention of the other dog on me and not on Sammy. But still, I try to avoid it every single time. That doesn't mean that Sammy has no social contacts, because there is just the possibility to look on Facebook or in your social circle. If you have people with dogs who treat them well, fine, ask them. And if not, go on social media and just try to find people who are training similar to you and who are just on the same page with the dog as you are, and whose dogs are either friendly or need a little distance themselves, so you can just walk together and the dogs don't have to interact with each other. It's okay. It's still contact and it's still social, because they smell each other and they make good experiences, because the other dog is not hurting them physically or mentally. And that's how contact should work. Of course, you can also go to social walks and stuff like that when you have a trainer in your area that offers them. That's an amazing way too. I offer them as well, because it's just a way for the dogs to be in a secure environment together and not have to fear any incidents happening to them. But if there is no trainer offering them in your area, that's okay too. As I said, you can just find people online who you connect with and just go together. And if the dogs need 100 meters distance between them, then that's fine. And if the dogs are fine with close contact, then you can do that as well. Just have to monitor it. And for that, you have to talk to each other up front. And you have to agree on how you break up play that is maybe getting a little too wild, or how you interrupt the dogs when they just tip a little into the unfriendly behaviors and stuff like that. You have to agree on those things. And that's why it's a way better idea to just make appointments with people you connect with than letting your dog run up to another dog you don't know and where you don't know the owner. And of course, if your dog is already leash reactive, and that's very common, it's not something you did wrong, or it doesn't matter if you did something wrong. What matters is that you help your dog with it. And if you need help with that, I would be very glad if you write me an email and I could just support you on your journey to make leash reactivity go away, because it's something that is not only annoying, but it's so draining. And you start behaving weirdly and you start being tense whenever you go out with your dog, because you have to watch out all the time. And that's really something I never wanted to experience again. So I'm on a mission to rid the world of leash reactivity and help people to have fun again. And leash reactivity training can actually be a lot of fun. And we can just find this connection again and this trust that our dogs have lost in us. And that's really amazing. So don't miss out on that. Don't just accept it, work on it. And I'll be very, very happy to help you with that. So just write me an email and we'll have a chat. All right. I wish you an amazing time with your dog. And if you know anybody who could profit or benefit from this episode, please share it. I would love to help even more people with leash reactivity and have a nice time with the dog again. And That's so important. So carry it out there. I wish you an amazing time with your dog and with training, and we'll see each other next time. Until then, bye.